Today we're trying to get the black album tone out of the NUX MG-30. When I grew up, one of the first albums I got as a CD was a Black album by Metallica. And as everybody, I think I was really impressed by the sound. And honestly, I'm still impressed by the sound and also of course, the songs and everything. What sticks out most for me is the iconic drum sound and also the vocals, which are kick-ass in my opinion. But I also like the guitar tone. Although it's quite unique, I think, because it's really scooped and it has to be the mix has to be fit with that scoop guitar tone. Otherwise the guitars will disappear, or you get something in the bass, if too much bass frequencies maybe, if you raise the overall volume of such a scooped sound. But they did quite a good job, and I don't know exactly which gear they used back then. I thought maybe James Hetfield was playing most of the rhythms with his maybe iconic white ESP Explorer with EMGs. And as far as I know, they used a ADA MP1 back then, but I'm sure they used a shitload of guitar gear, and also they were blending tracks. Anyway, I tried to create a tone which is similar at least to the guitar tone of the Black album with the NUX MG-30, and I used my Schecter Banshee because it has EMG 8185, and also it's a bolt-on neck. And I came up with this sound. Of course it's a rhythm tone, but let me show you the patch. So I open up the editor for you here, and it starts with the most important thing, but I will start with the first block in the effects chain. So I'm using something to boost the amp, because I think the guitars are very saturated, and I was using my favorite boost pedal, which is called the Steel Single Drive. I recommend to try that out. It works great, I think. Of course, you have to play around a little bit with volume and gain, depending on your guitar. As I said, this has the 81, and if you're using another pickup, maybe you have to adjust this block. I'm using a gate, which is, I think, of course, Hetfield is really a tight rhythm player, but I think he is using noise gates somewhere in his chain. And the thing is, if you set it too drastically here, it's affecting the overall tone, and I think maybe he's doing a lot of muting with his hand. So I was choosing this one, but of course I cannot play tight rhythms like him, so it's always a little bit noise coming when I'm playing. But I'm sure if you can play like James Hetfield with this tight, very fast downstrokes, you will come much closer to the album tone. Anyway, these are my settings. Decay is very low. Play around with that, but these were the settings that worked for me. As you can hear, if you raise the decay, then you hear a little bit of noise after you pick the note. And here it's dead tight. And the amp which I'm using is the Marshall JCM 2000. which is yeah, I don't know, as I said, which gear they were using, but sound is more or less reminding me a little bit of this amp. And especially if you boost it, it's definitely not the sound which they use later on when they're playing the Triaxis or Mesa 290 power amp. And yeah, so I was using this amp, and these are the settings. Be careful with the gain here. And the most important thing is the EQ, which is, as you may expect, yeah, a huge scoop in the mids. Before I come to that, I will show you the IR section. Here I was choosing the stock IR because I thought maybe many of you would like to share this patch or to have this patch. So I tried to come near the sound with stock IRs. Usually I'm using my third-party IRs. Very important is the microphone here. If you push on the right mouse button, you can choose. And I was choosing this 421, which has some of these 3 or 4K yeah, attack things, which is definitely there in the sound. If you're choosing another microphone, maybe the Royer R21, which is a lot duller, you have to EQ it way different. This is maybe a better choice for well-balanced guitar tones, but yeah, as I was a little bit limited because I could use only one EQ, and I was choosing the parametric EQ with only these three frequency controls, I had to choose the microphone carefully. It's something I would recommend anyway. If you were after a certain guitar tone, first you have to choose the right IR and the right microphone combination, because otherwise you have to EQ way more, and the microphone makes a huge difference. Also the position. If you move it away from the cone here, this would be way more useful for a live situation. But well, on the album they have this brighter tone. So yeah, this was my speaker setting which I used. And as I said before, the EQ, it's really drastically. They're taking out way, or they're taking out the frequencies around 1K or 1.5K, somewhere there. It's basically nothing there in usually these frequencies, they're the frequencies which maybe many metal players like, because you can hear the chucks way better. These are the percussive frequencies which are not annoying or don't get harsh. It's more or less the punch of the guitars. But for leads, they're a little bit annoying, in my opinion. And anyway, in the Black album, this is maybe the area where they are scooping most of their frequencies. But I'm using a very wide range also, because the yeah, it's what they did. If you don't use this wider range, you get way too much of these higher frequencies here, and maybe then you will come closer with the Royer. But it was not what I was hearing on the Black album. This combination, and yeah, it's basically as far down as it goes here, around 1K, and also as wide as it goes, this band. And here you have only the shelf frequencies. The thing here is or let's start with this, it's easier. As you can see, I was raising the highs at around the 4K, a wider range, but to compensate that it doesn't get that harsh, I was setting a high cut around 5K, which is a little bit of a trick. You can set the high cut way lower. If you raise the overall highs, then you get a more pleasant tone. Because usually the speakers and the microphones, they create huge spikes in that area, or maybe above 5K, which will get really scratchy or annoying. And you eliminate that if you set the high cut here and then raise the overall volume frequency equally above this high cut. And also, I was setting a low cut very high. Here it's set, what is it, around maybe 60 Hertz. And the reason for that is because I had to raise the lows here, because there are way too much lower mids in the tone, and I don't have another parametric control here. So I had to, for example, if I set it like that, here these lower mids which are not there in the original, so I had to set it here rather store. So, and what is happening if you choose this with the shelving filter, this goes way more down, which is what I wanted, because I wanted to reduce these lower mids around the 200 Hertz. But also here it's raising the frequencies below this center frequency. And to compensate that, I was, as I said, raising the low cut. If I set it, if I leave it out, then it has too much bass frequency, or at least sub bass. It may work in a mix, so you can try that out. But I was comparing with the original, and it sounded a little bit like that setting. And you can hear that which frequencies are not working if you're playing different things. So for example, what I always do is I'm playing some riffs, but which are played in different positions. And then you can sometimes hear in one position maybe, here these frequencies are too much, and then another position, here these frequencies are annoying. And especially when I was playing, what was it? God That Failed, in this position, and then I could hear that there was too much of these lower mids here. Because if I play it like that, I'm sorry, then you can hear maybe this boxiness. Also, if you can play, playing here, it's also there. So I didn't hear that when playing maybe, what did I do? I didn't hear it with the Sandman riff, but yeah, just with God That Failed, it was suddenly, there's too much of this. So I recommend, if you want to do something like that, to play different riffs in different positions. And yeah, that is what I came up with. Of course, I would like to dial in maybe Metallica clean tone, or also a maybe a lead tone, which are a little bit different. But for the lead, it's basically I would raise basically this a little bit, and of course engage the wah, which I cannot do now because it's my unit is not on the floor. And I think Hammond is also playing these EMG pickups, but they're using a lot more reverb on the solos. And of course his one. So yeah, I didn't try to replicate the leads. Still, I didn't try that. Only with the rhythms. Maybe I would do it in the future. I think the cleans, it's easy to get for me because it's maybe similar to my favorite clean tone. But yeah, this was really hard, I think, to get, because it's really a unique tone with yeah, very few mids. So yeah, I hope you like this, and maybe I will share this patch if you like it in the Facebook group. Otherwise, subscribe to my channel. Goodbye.